I'm Mary Susie from Bead Me a Story. Today I'm going to show you how to make the Flower Stretch Bracelet. I have shown flower arrangements before. I've done some earrings in this, and we also do snowflakes during the holiday times in these. So there are some other projects that you can do in this way, but I had never shown how to do a bracelet before, and I thought it was important to do so, to add that in. I actually did the bracelet kits in 2 different sizes, and the reason is that this chunkier size, because I did it in 3 colors, it's gonna actually need a run of 6 colors, or I'm sorry, 6 tri-flowers in order for it to close properly, because I'm using an odd number so that the colors go up and down. So just to point out, you can make a rainbow in this, that would work out great, but you need an even number because of how these triangles offset. So this particular size is only going to fit a 6.5 inch wrist. You can't do any other sizes in it. However, if you want to make your own and just choose your own color for the larger O-ring and just one color for the smaller O-ring, if you do it in a single color, then it's a little bit more forgiving, and you can make it either a 6.5 inch or an 8 inch bracelet. Okay, and when I say 6.5 or 8, I mean the measurement of your wrist. So that means that it would actually, if I measured this flat out, it would be a 7 inch bracelet, which would fit onto a 6.5 inch wrist. Okay, so I measure the wrist, and that is what I call the wrist size, and the actual length of the bracelet is usually about a 1/2 inch larger than that. Then this is our micro size, and again, I did this in 3 colors, and I did this in the Sorbet and the bamboo colors again, and this one's going to fit a 7 inch wrist. So once again, only fits one size, because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to get to an even number of rows with a 3 color situation. So that means that the only size that's really practical for anybody is going to be if you have around a 7 inch wrist for this to fit on. Once again, with the micro size, if you do all of your tri-flowers, the larger rings in just a single color and the smaller rings in another color, then you can get almost all the sizes that you need out of this particular design. But I like to show my designs in multiple colors so that it's easier to see the steps as I go through them. So, you know, use the tutorial as you need to. I always try and have some kits if you want to just be able to pick them up and not have to think about what goes into them. But this is definitely one where you may want to do your own colors, because I may not have the size that you need to fit your wrist, and then you can pick out whatever color suits you. Okay, so I'll just mention again that because this is a 6-row span, and same thing here, it has to be a 6-row span, these would actually work great for rainbows, but again, you'll be limited by size. So you could do red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple. We have O-rings in all those colors in these, but once again, you'll be limited to 6.5 inch wrist for the chunkier and a 7 inch wrist for the micro size if you choose to do a rainbow in this. Okay, so I hope I explained that well enough for you to understand about the sizes, and without further ado, let's go ahead and get started making this. Okay, so the first thing we need to do to start this project is I laid out my materials. So these are 12mm O-rings, and I also have 6mm O-rings. And you'll notice I have a little piece of leather here that I'm going to use as a needle to pull these little O-rings onto these larger O-rings. And so your piece is going to look like this when you're done. My piece of leather is a little bit longer than what would come in one of the kits, and that's just because I do so much that I make mine extra long so that when it eventually breaks in the middle, I can go ahead and cut it in half and have 2 pieces that I can use later. Okay, so you can see I just pulled on a 12mm O-ring. Okay, so I slipped that on there in the middle, and then I squeeze my two ends together. That's why I use leather, because it's not gonna fray on the end. I used to use wax cotton, and you can use string, so if you're looking for something in your house, don't be afraid to use string, but this won't fray on the ends, so it lasts a little bit longer. So you see I pull my 6mm O-ring down to the top of the 12mm O-ring, and then I just grab with my left hand and I pull with my right hand, and there we go. So this is really easy. We're doing this in a larger size, so it's very simple to do, very quick, and you're gonna need 18 of these in each of the 3 colors, okay? So in this example, I have Seafoam with the Neon Flamingo, Buttercup with the Neon Flamingo, and Cupcake Pink with the Neon Flamingo. But if you're doing a different color, you know, it'll come with, you want the 6mm O-rings to go on top of all 3 colors. Or, you know, you could do this all in one color. So any way you'd like to do it is just fine. And now we're gonna start the next part. So we don't actually use a whole lot of jump rings when we do this project. I've gone ahead and pre-opened mine just for speed's sake. And I'm just gonna take my jump ring. This is gonna be the one that's in the center of each of my flowers. And I'm gonna pass through one of the holes of this component I just made, and I just fold it in half and push the other side on, okay? And I'm gonna do that 3 times. So this is called a tri-flower, and that's why it's called the tri-flower, is because each flower is gonna have 3 petals. Okay, so once I get my first 2 on, I really wanna concentrate on this right-hand side and get my pliers situated where they're just really holding on to the tip. Because once we squeeze this 3rd one on, this is gonna get tight. Okay. So see how I really push that on? Now I'm gonna use the table to hold that one in place while I get my 2nd pair of pliers out. This is one of those projects where it really is handy to use a pair of bent nose pliers. You see I'm actually going down inside the O-ring, but I'm not grabbing onto the O-ring. If you were to grab onto it, you would tear it as you try and close this jump ring. Okay, so then I just close the jump ring, and then I can just spread my little petals out, okay? So I will show you, we're gonna make these in all 3 colors. So there's 1, 2, push it all over to one end, and 3. Okay, use the table to hold on. Get my pliers in there. You know, sometimes you'll lose it. You know, sometimes holding on to the table doesn't always work perfect, and it might pop off. You gotta fix it, get your pliers resituated. That's totally okay. I'm very well practiced at this, so hopefully this will go seamlessly for me, but no promises. Okay, and here's our Cupcake Pink, our 3rd color, in other words, color C. So usually in my kits, I'll say A, B, and C. That just saves time over the long haul if I want to do kits in more colors. Keep it simple for you. Okay, so there we go. And in this large size, this is not real forgiving on size. So this is gonna fit about a 6 or 6.5 inch wrist, maybe 7 if it fits snugly on the wrist. But it's not easy to change sizes, and here I'll show you why, is because we've got now 1, 2, 3. And so if you were to add another row, which you can, like if you have an 8 inch wrist or 7.5, that'll be like the next size up, because you can see that this is probably like an 1.5 inch, I would say, just guessing. But, you know, so you can't do like, you know, 5.5, 6, 6.5, 7, 7.5 inch sizes in this larger version. So if you need those in-between sizes, I do have a smaller version of this that you can do, and it's a little bit more forgiving that way. Okay, so these are ready, and now I'm going to show you how we're going to link this together. So I had gold in the center when I was making my flowers, but now that we have some flowers made up, I'm going to show you how they're going to get linked together. So basically what we want to do is we're going to put this little jump ring down here, and this is a smaller size jump ring than what we were using to make the flower, and we're going to connect through 1, 2, 3 rings, and we're going through these smaller rings, the neon flamingo rings. So the smaller, the 6mm O-ring that you put on all these flowers, now we're going to use that to link everything together. Okay, so I'm going to take that and I'm going to pass through, and you can see that there's like a little seam in between because that's folded over, and you want to really pass through there. You always want to be careful with jump rings and rubber O-rings that you don't nick the rubber O-ring. So if you have a really sharp jump ring, I would discard that and not use it, because you don't want to tear your rubber O-rings. Okay, so 1, 2, 3. And then when I close, and I'm gonna put this back the way we started so I don't lose track of my color order and where I was. So this is what this looks like. So it attaches down here. Okay. And then I'm gonna let me make up one more of these aqua seafoam. So you can do this in any way you want. If you want to make up all your tri-flowers first and have them ready to go, that's fine. If you prefer to make them as you're going along, that's fine too. I tend to work in batches and make everything up and then just link it all together, but you know, I'm doing a little bit more production work. If you're just making one of these for enjoyment, you do it any way you want to do it. See, so you can see that closing these, it's a tight little area to close. Okay, so I just wanted this one more so you can start to see that now I'm going to go ahead and start linking the top. So the next 3 that we connect, because see, I've got triangles here. So this triangle's got point up, this triangle's point down, and then this triangle is point up. So now I've got 3 of the 6mm O-rings meeting up in one spot, and that's where I want to go ahead and make my next connection. Okay, so this is pretty simple. Especially in this larger size, we're using 18 gauge jump rings, so you know that is really probably the easiest size jump ring to work with when you're getting started. Okay, so you can see my connection I did down here, and then you can see this one is up at the top of the next triangle. And we're just going to continue this. It's going to go back and forth. I have a little bit larger piece to show you here that I've gotten started. Okay, so you can see it's down here, up here, down here, up here, okay? Very easy assembly, okay? And then when we reach the end, it's gonna look a lot like this. So this would be our end, so we would wanna end on a color C. And then of course we started on a color A, and we're going to join these together. So obviously it's going to come around in a curve. We're going to join those together. And you can see when I join those together that this initial break up here, and then the last one that we added on, there's going to be a little break there that needs to be connected. So all we're going to do to finish this, so when we bring it around is just do the same thing we've been doing. So we'll go through the last two triangles, tri-flowers that we added on, and then that'll join back to the start, to the bottom of the starting tri-flower. And get joined into the work. And then, you know, and of course this is on the round, so you'll see it more like this, you know, but you can see these three now match up, and then it would be finished. Okay, so very simple to do a tri-flower bracelet. I've done lots of tri-flowers. We make snowflakes out of these for the holidays. We make I've made earrings. I've made beaded earrings with these. So I just wanted to show you this band that you can make as a bracelet. And of course, this is the larger size. This can be made in a much smaller size. But think about what you can do with these too. I mean, this little band would make a super cute like napkin ring. It could go around something. This is really fast and easy to make. So, you know, anything where you need a little band or a ring around it, this would be super cute. And of course, you know, bracelet is the obvious, but think of other things in your home decor where you can add this to and make them really special.